Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we spend so much time talking about AI models, how powerful they are, what they can do, but what if the real secret to unlocking all that potential has almost nothing to do with the tech itself? Today, we're going to break down a framework that puts the focus right back where it belongs, on us, on the human layer.
Okay, let's just kick things off with this idea, because it's a big one. This quote, it gets right to the heart of what we're talking about. When it comes to AI, the team with clear rules of the road is always going to beat the team that has the fanciest tech but no shared understanding. Success or failure, it actually comes down to something completely different than the model you're using.
And that something else is what we're calling the human layer. You see, the machines, they provide the raw capability, the power, but it's our choices, our habits, our systems, that's what actually decides the final outcome. And we can think about this in 4 connected layers or rings that start with you and ripple all the way out.
So, here's the plan for our journey today. We'll start with the big idea, the human layer. Then we're going to walk through each of those 4 rings, starting with your personal choices, then your team, your whole organization, and finally, society itself. And then we'll tie it all together and see how they're all connected.
Right, so let's just hammer this point home. The machine layer, that gets all the hype and all the headlines, but the human layer, that's where the story is actually written. It's where the real impact gets decided, through all these little choices and habits that add up over time, for better or for worse.
So let's see how this all builds, starting with that very first, most immediate ring, the personal. This is all about you, just you, as an individual, and how you decide to engage with these incredibly powerful tools.
And the most important question you can ask yourself isn't, how can I use this more? It's about getting brutally honest. For a writer, maybe it kills your unique voice. For a programmer, maybe you ship code faster, but you understand your own code base a little bit less. The answer is totally different for everybody, and only you can figure out where that line is for you.
Now, what's so great about this is it gives you a really practical way to draw that line. Think of your work in 2 simple buckets. On one side, you've got tasks that are just friction, the boring stuff. Go ahead, delegate that stuff freely. But on the other side, you've got the skills you actually want to get better at. For those, you just have to do the work yourself. The real discipline is just keeping those 2 lists separate.
And you know, we've got to be aware of the less obvious trade-offs. AI is amazing at letting us skip the hard, frustrating parts of a problem, which you might call the messy middle. But that struggle, that messy part, is often where we build real intuition. If we get in the habit of always skipping it, we might not actually be learning anymore.
Okay, let's zoom out one level. We're at the team now. And this is where most of the value of AI shows up at work, but it's also where almost all of the friction and the arguments and the misunderstandings happen.
So how do you manage this? Well, teams don't need some rigid top-down HR policy. What they need are norms. Just simple, shared agreements about how you're going to work. And you can build them just by answering these 3 questions out loud, together. What do we actually use this for? What kind of outputs need a human to review them? And when do we tell each other we used it? Honestly, just having an answer is more important than what the specific answer is.
And this, right here, this points to a fundamental shift in how we work together. With AI handling so many first drafts, the real value isn't just on creating stuff anymore, it's on curating it. The most valuable people on a team are becoming the ones with excellent judgment, the ones who can critique and refine and elevate the work that AI starts.
All right, let's zoom out one more time to the entire organization. At this scale, the single biggest mistake you can make is treating AI like it's just another piece of software you roll out. It's not. It's a core business challenge that touches every single part of the company.
I mean, just look at this breakdown. Strategy has to grapple with completely new business models. Procurement has a whole new world of vendors and risk to manage. Security is facing bizarre new threats. And legal, well, they're in a whole new universe of copyright and regulation. It is not an IT problem. It's an everyone problem.
So, what's the move? The smartest companies are creating a small but really empowered group with people from all over the business. You've got legal, strategy, tech, HR, all in one room. And their job isn't to have all the answers. Their job is to keep asking the right, hard questions as this technology keeps changing.
And that brings us, finally, to the outermost ring, the civic level. This is where AI meets society. And this is where we run into the really profound, really difficult questions that affect every single one of us. And frankly, there are no easy answers.
So the first huge question is about work, but it's way more nuanced than just, will robots take our jobs? The real questions are, how are jobs going to be completely reshaped? What new kinds of work will even exist? And this is the critical part,
How do we, as a society, manage that transition for the people whose jobs get hit the hardest?
The second question is about truth itself. I mean, generative AI makes it basically free to create totally plausible misinformation at an infinite scale. All our old shortcuts for telling what's real from what's fake, like does it look real, does it sound real, they're breaking down. And as a society, we haven't built the new tools for this new reality yet.
And the third massive question is about power. The incredible capability of modern AI is, right now, concentrated in just a handful of companies in a handful of countries. And that has enormous consequences for democracy, for the global economy, for everything. It's a tough conversation, but it's one we absolutely have to have.
Now, the real magic of thinking this way is realizing that none of these rings exist in a vacuum. They are deeply, deeply connected. Influence is constantly flowing in both directions, creating this powerful ripple effect. Think about it. Your personal choices, your habits, they ripple outward. They start to shape your team's norms. Those norms influence your company's strategy. And that strategy contributes to the civic outcomes we all live with. But at the same time, decisions made in those outer rings ripple inward. New regulations from the government, they absolutely set the boundaries for what your company, your team, and you yourself can do.
Which brings us right back to where we started. This is the whole idea in a nutshell. The technology, that's just the potential. But our actions, our norms, our decisions, at every single level of this human layer, that's what turns all that potential into reality.
So here's the key takeaway. Putting effort into any one of these rings matters because it ripples across all the others. And that leaves us with one final question, and this one's for you to think about. When you look at your own work, your own life, which one of these rings needs your attention right now? Where are you going to start?